It's Darkside Phil's Game of the Year Awards for 2015, the top 10 best games of the year. Honorable mention, Dying Light. Now, I already talked a little bit about Dying Light in another year-end series already, but I do want to call it out and give it its due. An open-world, first-person, survival horror adventure with parkour elements, unique weapons, and a lot of upgradability, plus an interesting and engrossing story, is actually a pretty good outing and a fairly good bang for your buck with the amount of content that was included in the original game at launch. I actually really enjoyed Dying Light, but unfortunately, in my personal experience playing this game on the PlayStation 4, I had tons of bugs and issues with the game, causing my overall enjoyment and experience to dwindle. I'm sorry, but when I'm playing the game and all of a sudden all of my experience points vanish, my inventory completely empties itself, including high-level weapons needed to progress, then all of a sudden the game glitches again and I get experience points in one stat tree that I'm not supposed to have, and then all kinds of endless bugs and glitches with stages not generating, and it was just a buggy mess. And I hate to say it, I really think that Dying Light would have made my top 10 games of 2015 if this game were a little more polished at launch. But this is the problem with games in the modern era. A lot of these things are coming out rushed and are not being tested enough. And it almost seems to me like the retail consumer ends up being the tester for these games. And incidentally, in the case of Dying Light, if you played the game a month after launch, all of the issues had been patched. And therefore, you probably never experienced any of the issues that people who bought the game and played it at launch week experienced. And that's a freaking shame, because again, the game is great and should have been a better experience, but because of those launch bugs, I had a bad one, or at least a worse one than I should have had. So, by no means at this point, in 2016, should you think that Dying Light is a bad game? It's not. It's a great game. It's certainly a much better game now than it was a year ago at launch. Check it out if you get the chance. Sorry it didn't make the top 10, but them's the breaks. Test your games a little bit better, and maybe it'll make it. But now on to the official entry, with number 9 in our countdown, Super Mario Maker. Yeah, I really put a Nintendo game into the best games of the year countdown for once. I know I rarely ever do that, but Super Mario Maker really exceeded expectations from what initially was just reported to be a basic stage creation tool. And sure, at its core, that's exactly what it is. You can make levels of your own creation from Super Mario Bros. 1, 3, and World, and you can implement all kinds of different things into it, characters from older games or you know, more of the original games, and kind of make really crazy mishmash crossovers that blow your mind. But honestly, for me, not only was that really entertaining, but when I finally jumped into the online creations, when you could go through these playlists of randomly selected challenging stages that users had made, when you could go online and just see what are the most commonly voted ones and see what people come up with initially from the get-go, it blew me away. And I'm going to be honest with everyone, this was a way better experience than when I tried out Little Big Planet. If you remember years ago, when Little Big Planet first launched and I tried to go online and see what people were making, it was crap. Like, within the first month to 2 months of Little Big Planet, I couldn't find anything that was really worth playing. It was only much, much later that I went back and saw wacky and weird stuff. With Super Mario Maker, it was a week into it, and there was some great stuff that users had created, and it was really an enjoyable experience. If anything, I think that really stands a testament to the varied, diversified, and very engrossed and engaged fan base of Nintendo, that immediately upon release of this game, these creative people jumped inside, started making really awesome stuff, and, you know, just hit the ground running. And honestly, right now, to jump into Super Mario Maker and play some of the levels now versus the ones that were back in September when this game launched probably are, you know, mind-blowingly advanced. So not only is this a cool character creation tool, it's got the production value and the stylized Nintendo touch. It's got a ton of content. The only negative that I really have to say about the game is that Nintendo didn't give you everything from the get-go. You had to kind of jump through hoops to unlock all of the things in the game to use and customize your own stages, and in that regard, it's a little bit of an annoyance. Why the hell they couldn't just give you everything at once when you already paid for it? I don't really understand. It's that outdated Nintendo mentality, in my opinion, that they still think they're making games for 8-bit cartridges and they need to have locked content to add replayability or length and longevity to the life of a game, which you don't need to do in 2015, but I digress. Super Mario Maker, very entertaining, lots of content, beautiful visuals, great premise, an amazing amount of stuff that's only going to grow in time as more and more creative people dive into this game, and it makes number 9 in my Game of the Year countdown. Up next, a game that I almost skipped ended up being one of my most enjoyable experiences of the year, and I'm very glad that I checked it out. I hope you will too, next on the countdown.